Hello and welcome to episode 5 of season 2 of Cal's Questions. I am Cal. I will be asking questions, as is the premise of the show. As always, I am joined by Paul, if you'd like to say something.
Hello there, my name is Paul, aka Ampersand. I run Ampersand Productions and I will be guest hosting this wonderful show. So, yeah, exciting times.
Yeah, and always happy to see you, Paul. We are joined today by a brilliant homebrew TTRPG creator, D'Artagnan. If you wouldn't mind just giving us a few words about yourself?
Help, they've kidnapped me. I am someone who thought that, well, this would be fun, and unfortunately, I've never gone back.
You've got the bug, and now you're hooked.
Mm.
And what about? You're a homebrew creator. You do a lot of stuff. Was D&D your first, or is there another TTRPG that gave you that bug?
Depends at what point we define things as TTRPGs. I probably had the bug from before. The first edition of D&D I ever played was technically Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic,
Nice.
as I eventually learned, was D&D. Uh, Otherwise, the first tabletop game I played was Dark Heresy, because my friend is a Warhammer fan. Then I played some Pathfinder, then I went to 5th edition.
Amazing. Have you got a favorite?
Well, between those last two, it's a toss-up. I love the things in Pathfinder, but by God, is 5th edition so much better to run.
I agree. I love 5th edition. I spend most of my days playing it, and I think Paul's the same. Correct me if I'm wrong, Paul.
Yeah, exactly. Until we started playing Blades in the Dark recently. D&D 5th edition was the only one I've played because it fits what I want to play when I play a TTRPG. I like the fantasy era that it sort of specializes in. I'm not into the futuristic style TTRPGs or any other things, and I feel it's the most adaptable as well. If you want to bring your own world or even somebody else's world, I know most of them, like Marvel, Power Rangers, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, all have their own TTRPGs. But if you really wanted to, you could also adapt them all into D&D 5th edition. So yeah, absolutely, D&D 5e.
That's amazing. Yeah, and with that, would you find that it seems from what I've seen from your stuff that is your homebrew stuff is mainly geared towards 5th edition. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is that right?
I've only published things that are for 5th edition. I've
Yep.
done other shit before, but yeah.
So yeah, I've seen you done quite a few things on DM's Guild, and recently the Werebeast. Would you tell us a bit about the Werebeast?
Well, I thought, wouldn't it be fun if I could actually play a werewolf I wanted to play? So I, without any remorse whatsoever, gutted the fighter, the bard, the barbarian, the druid, and the monk, and mashed all the pieces together. And now there's something where I can be angry and a wolf man.
That's
Yeah.
perfect. What more do you need? If you want to be an angry wolf man, you know where to go. So get on DM's Guild and have a look at D'Artagnan's back catalogue there. What other characters, classes have you got on there?
So I have, oddly enough, talked about Pathfinder, being something I was doing before. I have two other classes: the Riftbinder, which is a conversion of Pathfinder's Summoner. So you have your big customizable BC, and you can also, when that's not around, just swarm your enemies with little ones.
Nice.
Nice.
And then the Witchblade, which is based off of the Magus, which is great for when you want to stab people with spells.
I mean, who doesn't want to stab people with spells?
It's great.
When you create these, what's your process for it? Like, do you see a gap in the market, so to speak, or do you just think, I want to play that, it doesn't exist, I'm going to make it exist? Why do you create these things, I suppose, is what I'm asking you.
Well, it can't be because it doesn't exist, because I saw many versions of those things when I was looking for things. I mean, the Summoner Riftbinder thing is an amazing story where I wanted to recreate an epic battle in the Pathfinder campaign that I was running as a one-shot in 5th edition, but there, there were summoners, but I didn't like how they were done. And in fact, the one that you can find on the D&D wiki is also done by D'Artagnan, which is hilarious. But that is also the one I hate the most.
That's fair.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, this doesn't exist, I'll just make it then. I never did that one shot.
Fair enough. Have you got like, would you say like a do's and don'ts of homebrew character class creation? Have you got a set of rules that you go by when it comes to it?
Mostly if you can't do it as a subclass of something specific, or a subclass of something that already exists doesn't do it properly. Like, a very common example is for my werebeast, the common one, and is now officially a thing with the barbarian path of the beast. It's like, yeah, I can be a werewolf type thing for a minute, but I wanted to be like, what if I just wanted to walk into town as a wolf man?
That's so cool.
Yeah, sure.
Or a giant bear, because I've made all the options.
Do you play these in any campaigns at all?
I want to. I've managed to convince several people to let me play some of the things that I've done. I've managed to get some of my players to do my Riftbinder thing, because Lord knows that's not something you pull out for a one shot. It's far too complicated. Ah, yes, let's make 2 characters, and the other one you can make out of a box of scraps.
That's awesome, man. I've seen that you've got the almanac, D'Artagnan's Adventurer's Almanac. Could you tell us a bit about that as well?
So that was basically me going, well, I've got all this stuff here that I've been making over a year. What if I got fancy pictures and got people to buy it? And then I made extra things to make it worth it. So there's, for instance, like 5 subclasses for my Witch Knight that's only in that book.
Very nice.
That's really cool. And I will say, go on, sorry.
Which are based on most of the sorcerer subclasses that were available at the time. And then the Hex Knight, or the Hex Blade, because that's just too cool not to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's like, I'm going to do all of these at once. I was contemplating doing it in the first book as a single subclass, but then realized, no.
Just no. Just straight
just
up
not doing
no.
it.
You're always you're very active on and you know, thanks for being so active as well on the Homebrew Havoc / Ampersand Productions Discord server. You're a name that we see regularly pop up, and very active in helping with advice and things like that on there. So you are full of creative wisdom and knowledge, I do have to say, you know, and it does come across in those publications that you've sent out as well. And with that, have you got like, is there anything that you've learned from anyone in the TTRPG space on Twitter and beyond that you've taken on board? I know you've passed on quite a few different things to people on our server, for example, but are there people active in the TTRPG community on Twitter or wherever it may be that have helped you at all and inspired your creations?
For the homebrew stuff, that's actually kind of tricky now that I think about it. I just kept stealing things.
is it stealing or sampling, or is it just inspiration? You know, you can't. It's there's so many great ideas out there, and when it comes to homebrew, well, technically, everything is homebrew to
Yeah,
start with.
it's always in
So
somebody's home, isn't it?
yeah,
Yep.
exactly. So, but yeah, yeah, that's really cool. So I mean, so you steal things from
Yeah.
people on Twitter, is what you've told us there. That's,
Uh,
I mean, that's
yep,
fair enough.
heard it here first.
Is there
I'm a
That's
troll.
is there anybody in the TTRPG space that like sort of inspired you either from the beginning or even still now? Is there anyone's content or material that you look at and go, yes, that's fantastic. I want to be at that level one day.
Well, there is, and I think the name's been popped up. Matt Colville and his crew do some fun stuff.
oh yeah.
He's definitely helped me with my DMing, which is good because I started watching him like a week before I ran my first game. So
Nice. In what ways has he helped you with your DMing? How has he influenced you?
yay. God, it's been like 4 years. Trying to remember. Just sort of the general approach, I suppose. Of course, when I start talking about myself, I draw a blank. God damn it.
It's all right. It's always hard to do, isn't it? You sort of sit there, and you think, you know, you don't want to big up yourself too much, but believe me, I mean, you put in a lot of work into everything, and you know, I want to hear about it. You shout out a lot of stuff. You also help out a lot of people in the TTRPG community and boost them as well on Twitter and beyond. Um, I want to hear about all your stuff. So, I mean, what have you got stuff coming up that you're working on?
I have a few things, especially now that I've got werewolves and people want other lycanthropes. I do have a plan for that. I just need to. Well, I've already started making other lycanthropes as monsters, and then I want to turn those into subclasses. And then maybe mess up the rules for that a bit. At some point, if I figured out enough things, I have an idea for a Fey book and one that's dealing with celestials and fiends and whatnot.
Is there are you always working as a lone wolf, or do you have other people that you work alongside with these projects?
Nope, it's just myself, unfortunately.
Just you. Is there anyone that you would like to?
Oh god.
Or are you happy working on your own? I know a lot of people are happy working on their own, you know, and too many cooks and all that. So, I mean, if you're happy to do that, but I just thought I'd ask. I mean, there's a lot of people out there with great ideas. Is there anyone that you would like to get involved with?
This could be the start of like a new connection for you. Like they could watch this show and be like, you know what? Yeah, I want to work with that guy. So, is there anyone that you've seen like on Twitter, like Callum said, that you'd love to work with one day?
Yeah, I mean, a fun one that's popped up in my brain, and I mostly want to steal the artist, but Abyssal Brews does good stuff.
They do.
Oh yeah.
Home Bakery is great. There's a whole bunch of people. Good God. I think I could probably spend like 10 minutes going through my going, them.
Just everybody, everybody.
Yes. Oh
Yeah.
God, there's so many good things.
Abyssal Brews is a great show. We're big fans.
Yes.
And yes, we based the campaign on them essentially. So yeah, we're fans. And what about the art in your books as well? Is that you doing the art, or is it someone else?
So the nice thing about publishing on the DMs Guild is they let you take art from older editions. I've seen stuff from second, maybe not second, but third and fourth edition books that you can just put in there. You have to put in a disclaimer that said that you did that.
Oh,
And then
wow.
I've also, at least for my almanac, I commissioned people for some art because it's a good way to secretly get an excellent excuse to commission art of your own characters.
Yeah.
Is that the front cover of it with the kobold going up the? Is that the commission one?
That technically was a gift, actually.
Really?
Oh.
It's
Yeah,
cool. It's got like
the
what's it
mage hand,
called?
yeah.
Mage hand picking up the kobold by the collar, and while it's picking a lock of a window on a tower. It's a really cool picture. I really like it. But so
Yeah, and
that was someone who did that as a gift.
yes, yep. I also commissioned another picture from him for another kobold, ironically, which was a character I was playing in his campaign. It was a witch knight, so yay. And a fun fact is I had most of the sorceress subclasses jotted out before I actually released the class in the whole. But it's like, oh god, that's too many, because I put out 5 at the time. I've added a 6th one since, and that's going to add the total to like 10. It's like, people don't need that. And this is a perfect excuse to get them to buy a book. Yeah.
Nice, and that's how we plug. That's how we do it. Who's the artist? Sorry, who did the art for it?
He is a Brazilian artist by the name of Douglas Kim.
Yeah. Very nice.
Not one I've come across, to be honest. So I'll definitely check that out because I love that picture. It's great.
Yeah. Just be careful to anyone who does look him up. He does occasionally do naughty stuff. So
there's a disclaimer. Right.
shield your
Okay.
eyes.
Thank you for the warning there. I will. Yeah. That is duly noted. I'll just Google that right now. Well, that's cool. Yeah. Paul, anything you want to ask?
Yeah. When you when you come up with an idea, so you sat down one day or you woke up one day and said, I want to do a werebeast. Could you guide us through your process from start to finish? Like, do you come up with its stat block first, or its abilities first, or how do you fill out the page in your character sheet? What do you give us a guide, a walkthrough, so to speak, of how you do it?
Well, it's one thing for classes and another thing for everything else, really. Generally, it's well, thankfully, I now have prompts for these things. So, my Patreon, other plug, the patrons can actually vote on a theme for the month. So, the theme for June, to date this video, is giants. So, I'm doing various giant things. So, last week they got some giants that I pulled from 2nd and 3rd edition, entirely as an excuse, so that for this week I can make different runes for the Rune Knight class based on those giants. So one of my players in my game can actually have more choices, because I looked at the thing and there's like 5 runes that you get and 6 rune options. Like, just let me have all of them if you're just going to have one left over. So I made it so that you could have more than one left over.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Do you prefer being a DM or a player?
Definitely a player. Being a DM is its own kind of fun and own kind of reward, but it is work.
Go on, Paul.
Can you give us a time as a player or as a DM, if that comes to mind quicker, that one of your own creations did something particularly special or rememberable?
Well, this is actually a fun one. So, in the aforementioned Pathfinder campaign, which I've started just adapting to 5th edition on the fly because it was a pre-written set of books, and it's like, I like 5e now. So I'm just going to homebrew this entire campaign. The player that was playing a Shadow Caller Riftbinder, or Summoner, or whatever, it's like they're evil. They're trying to convince this tribe of boggards to serve them as loyal minions, loyal treacherous minions. So what they've done is after they've beaten their champion to unconsciousness, dragged him into the center of town, and then basically he used the ability to summon monsters to summon a swarm of, I don't quite remember what it was, rats, anything, but basically I was like, the shadows from the corners of this place begin to pull in and form into solid shapes before swarming on top of the guy's body, and then a writhing mass of darkness before nothing is left but bone.
Whoa,
Oh,
that's
wow.
dark.
That was
Jesus.
a pretty fun way to use that ability and
Yeah.
to get people to fear you.
Yes.
Well, I've got to be honest. I am a little scared now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's really quite.
You can do terrifying things with the Riftbinder and Summoner.
Whoa.
I mean, one thing that I've yet to convert into 5th edition, because it doesn't quite work with how it was, is there was a blood caller, I think, where one of the abilities, because they generally have the ability to teleport their Eidolon, or Liminal in my case, next to them, but this is a version where they can teleport this to anything that has blood, including living creatures. So you can have this monster burst out of someone's body,
Whoa,
and
alien.
they do take physical damage from that. It's like,
Yeah, I
I
bet they
want
do.
this. I convinced the player to do that, to take that archetype, because it was just goddamned amazing.
Yeah.
I can't have a good excuse to do that in 5th edition, unfortunately. Otherwise, I would. Because that one in specific is like you're evil and you're using blood to make deals with demons and stuff, and then for some reason you have a teleporting blood monster.
That is pretty badass. I'm not gonna lie.
I think teleporting blood monster just sounds horrific enough before I hear anything else, if I'm completely honest.
It's also a fantastic password that I'm going to use. So thank you for that.
Take notes, everyone. Actually, let me just put that down in the thing here, because that is an excellent phrase, yes, and I want to punish my players for playing our game.
See, this is what we do. We're creating homebrew on the fly
Yeah,
right here on
definitely.
Cal's Questions. That's so cool. Is there...
It might not be a subclass, but it will be a monster soon.
I'm happy with that. I'll take it. Is there a goal you want to achieve with your creations? What have you got an ultimate dream that you want to achieve with the homebrew creation?
I mean, something that would be just straightforward and humble, nothing too grand per se, is just like, I could make a living, like proper living doing this, and not have to worry about things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not anywhere close to that just yet, but...
Well, who knows? By the time this is released, which will be probably about a month after we're recording it, you might be one step closer.
Maybe.
And I hope so. And you're doing all the right things for it. I mean, it's you're busy. You're creative. All that stuff you just described then was pretty badass.
I've noticed, like, you are all over Twitter. There's about 3 or 4 people who every Saturday are there just before me or always before me. And on days of like self-promo Saturday where I do put in that extra effort because I find it quite difficult, there's you and there's this other comic book and the name I've completely forgotten. I'm so sorry, whoever that is.
Yeah, that one, the dark gothic
Yeah.
girl thingy. Yeah, the name escapes me as well right
There's
now.
about 3 or 4 people who are on every single post, and I don't know how they do it, but you are definitely there. We are jumping back and forth in terms of topic, and I do apologise to you both. So your big book, let's call it, your Adventurer Almanac. First off, what's the word almanac mean? Because I've never heard of that. That just sounds like something you tried to use in Scrabble because you didn't have an actual word.
Well, I'm mostly happy because it's fantastic alliteration, but let me just grab the definition quickly, because my brain just says it's a book with information in it. So,
I kind of think
if
that's it, but
Yeah.
go.
uh,
What does Google say?
an annual calendar containing important dates and statistical information, such as astronomical data and tide tables.
Very
It's
nice.
also
And
its
Blood
sports
Monsters.
almanac is also a fantastic plot point in the Back to the Future movie, or the second one at least.
I haven't watched that in a while, but I believe you. I assume you're right. So yes. So my second part to that question, your almanac, great word. That's just a nice word.
It is.
Yeah, it rolls off the tongue so nicely. Almanac.
My,
I thought it was
has-
a
my
fruit.
ultimate goal. Yes. Here is a book. No, it's a fruit. It's edible. You eat the knowledge.
So
Oh,
it
okay.
has
That
9
gets passed out
races.
into the world.
So your almanac has 9 races, 30 subclasses, 15 feats, 52 spells, 33 magic items, 5 artifacts, and 54 monsters.
That's insane.
Which is it's a big book. It's a big almanac. What is your favorite thing to create? Is it the subclasses? Is it the monsters? Is it the spells? What is your favorite?
Well, definitely the easiest thing to make tends to be the subclasses, which is because it's like 9 classes to go with, and then you can just pick a theme. Yes, this idea. But I think personally, I'm fond of making races. That's definitely where most of my homebrewing actually ended up starting in Pathfinder. It's like, oh, Pathfinder is a race builder. Quickly, make all the things. And slowly but surely, I have added all the races I homebrewed for my Pathfinder campaign that never happened and then went straight to 5th edition. I've homebrewed those and put them on the internet.
So cool. I'm just having a look now. Actually, I'm just going through this. This is so good. The value of it is it's $20, and for all of that on the DMG Dungeon Masters Guild, that's really good value. That's really good.
For those British viewers, that is £16 as of this recording. So you get all the things I listed for £16.
That's crazy. And I just got to go through, and I hope this is all right with you, Dart. I got the Rift Binder, the subclasses involved in that. With your permission, can I read out the names of those because they're just badass?
Yeah, I mean the thing is free. Well, pay what you want, but it's essentially free.
Yeah, just pay what you want for this. That's so cool. The bond of teamwork, the bond of unity, the bond of the puppet master, the bond of bloods. The bond beyond death, and the bond to the other kind. Those are some of the coolest sounding subclasses I've ever heard, man.
Definitely one of my favorite things to do is to get short phrases or words that just sound awesome. Which is about the length that I can do dramatic describing things, which is why the shadow monsters and teleporting blood monsters has such fantastic imagery.
I think the way you describe it, like the bond beyond death, for example, the play Frankenstein with an undead abomination. Man, that is some good writing skills there.
Definitely.
And that's pay what you want on DMG. That is so cool, man. That's really generous. And frankly, you should be charging a lot for that.
Just so everyone knows, there will be a link in the description to the DMs Guild, without a doubt. So go down now, click it, and then come back and finish watching.
This is pre-recorded, by the way.
Yeah.
So some time machine stuff going on there, but it's all good. Oh man, that's so cool. And then onto the Witch Knight, the Beast Blonded, the Elementalist, the Eldritch Guardian, the Side Shifter, the Spellblade, the Spellbreaker. Oh man, God, that's so cool.
It certainly feels that power fantasy that D&D tries to let its players fulfill, doesn't it? In my eyes, when I hear those words, I'm like, I'm a god. I might not be a god yet, but I'm a really powerful being.
And the beauty is that here is he's providing the keys to that door to godhood, essentially, isn't he? Maybe do you know what, that was a cool sentence in itself. I quite surprised myself there, but Yeah, and it's thanks to creators like you and the hard work you put into creating these homebrew products that you're allowing people to do that. How do you feel? There are people out there who would have taken something you've created and it's become quite possibly a big part of their life and a campaign that they run for 2-3 years or whatever it may be, and they're playing the Witch Knight or whatever class that you've created. I mean, how do you feel about that? Like someone taking it on and into their life and taking on that role.
This is the terrifying existential question or realization that there are thousands, billions of other people that all have their own lives, and there's so many threads intertwining. It's like, oh god. But so I guess I shielded my mortal mind from that by not thinking about it. But yeah, that's oof.
Is that something you've ever thought about?
It's not really. It certainly doesn't help that I don't have a bajillion people tossing money at me. That would definitely make the connection in my brain easier. But I mean, that'd be an amazing thing to hear.
Yeah. I want to put a shout out there now. Anyone who's listening or watching this, if you're playing one of D'Artagnan's subclasses or anything, implemented anything from his productions that into your games, I'm sure creators like D'Artagnan and others, drop him a message or a little comment on Twitter or whatever, and just to say I'm doing that, because especially when they're giving such great things away for free, essentially.
Yeah.
And a little kind word just to say I'm playing the Witch Knight and I'm loving it, and I've been doing the campaign for however long. It makes creators feel good.
Yeah.
I think,
and leave them a review on DM's Guild as well. I understand you could do
Exactly.
that. Leave them a review there because it really helps.
Yeah,
Just nice, isn't it?
it's nice. It is nice, and I think people like you and the work you put into it, I think you deserve it. I'd love to see. I know people do it, and we do see quite a lot of it. But I'm always happy to. I always want to promote stuff like that. Just a kind word here or there, especially when there's little or no money involved.
Yeah.
Being made from something you've put so much effort in. Then a little kind word here or there is in many cases, payment enough. And I encourage everyone to do it. I understand Paul has a little thing he wants to try out.
So for season 2, so for anyone watching, this should be episode 5, but it's the first one we're recording because of a bunch of cancellations. So I am going to explain to my co-host and my guest what it is, but if you've watched the other 4, you should have already seen, so you can skip this bit if you like. So I have a standard array, and Dart, we have 5 characteristics of a player or a DM. You can choose which one you want to do it for. The characteristics are descriptions, improv, story, showmanship, combat, and rules knowledge. Now, for those watching on YouTube, there will be possibly some graphics that show up as I say those words. I don't know yet. Depends. But I'm going to ask
there
each guest.
Something popping up on screen where when he says 5, it strikes it out and says 6.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Dart, tell me, you've got standard array for each of these descriptions, either as a dungeon master yourself, how you would like a dungeon master to be, or yourself as a player. So, what would you put at 15? What is your most important stat, so to speak, out of those 6?
Well, there's importance and how good I am at them, which are 2 different things.
Well, pick one and tell us what you're doing, and then go with that.
Well, let's say this is my real world stat sheet, then I shall use what I am.
Okay.
So the top thing is rules knowledge. Is I usually quite handy as a backup rule book in games that I am a DM or the player, which is rules knowledge is the highest. Next is probably improv, because otherwise I would be putting in way more effort into the games I run. And
Yeah.
quite frankly, I wouldn't be able to do a game where the players get to choose what the hell they're doing if I didn't improvise so much. Then the next bunch are a bit hard to pin down per se, but you might argue that my descriptions are very good, but I'm also very lackadaisical in how, well, actually describing things as players come through, because I've made this pretty map using Dungeon Draft, and I have assembled these tokens. You have the mental images in front of you. My brain doesn't need to add more words. Hooray. But yeah, there's that. My story composition stuff's also on the medium side, because I do improvise stuff quite heavily.
Nice.
Though I have a fantastic coincidence of just going through the lore and whatever afterwards, and like, my God, this makes sense. How?
Okay, so we've got combat and showmanship for number 10 and your dump stat number 8. What are we going with?
Combat is probably going to be my 10.
Okay.
I try to make things interesting, but very often it does end up being I've put 5 things in a room, and the fighter has just killed all of them in one turn.
Smashy, smashy.
Yeah. It's like people keep arguing that no, spellcast is overpowered. No. A single fighter with a Frostbrand weapon. Jesus. I have to balance around that, and just actually showed in the last session I ran, because why are these enemies staying around so long? Oh, because the fighter has been rolling like shit today. That was
Okay,
very amusing realization.
And are we dumping showmanship?
Yeah, I'm not that flashy as a DM.
That's fine. That's absolutely fine. Wonderful. Excellent. I mean, in our world, that's the first time I've done that, and you've done an excellent job. So, yeah, thank you for that. Like I said, there'll be some graphics that I'll make disappear now. That's going to be fun to edit.
Yeah, you're going to time that spot now. You just realise what you've done to yourself.
It's like one
and
frame,
there's going to be fireworks here, and there's going to be a confetti cannon by here, and
the stats are back.
You know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it.
Back and gone, and back and gone.
Good luck.
So, yeah, but that's it. Thank you very much for that. Hopefully we've done that for every interview by now. Who knows? Might not have. So, yes, yeah. But thank you. That was my... I might give it a name. I don't know what I'm going to call it.
It's a nice insight into you. It's like, it's your real life stats. I love that.
Yeah.
We're going to be signing off in the next couple of minutes. So we've been chatting to D'Artagnan for nearly an hour, and I just wanted to ask him if, and I do this with everyone, so apologies to put you on the spot, but is there anyone you want to thank in the TTRPG community and beyond for their support?
Oh heavens!
I love that. I love that response. I'm so cruel like that.
The funny thing is, I now send people a document saying that we're going to ask that, and people always forget.
I know. I love it. I'm cruel, but if not, I mean, it's hard to think on the spot with things like that, and I know that you put out a lot of supportive tweets for people, and you're always retweeting people's work and everything. So, I can see firsthand that you do. You support a lot of people out there. But yeah, I mean, is there anyone you want to thank, or if not, we can move swiftly on.
Fun thanks to Hope for Tabletop RPGs, because she is wonderful.
Nice.
And definitely one of the first people I started checking out and seeing what she was doing as I was getting into this community properly. And yeah, that's about it. Everyone else is also awesome. Thank you, person watching. You're amazing.
Oh, yes.
You are amazing.
I don't think we've ever said that.
No, we normally think they're a piece of crap, but no, this time, you specifically at this moment are amazing. Well done.
Oh dear, well
what a
done, Paul.
coincidence.
But yeah, and that just leads me to ask, where can people find your stuff? I know we've mentioned Dungeon Masters Guild, but Twitter handle and all that good stuff.
So my Twitter and Patreon are D'Artagnan D&D, which, if you want to spell correctly, you spell it D'Artagnan.
Scroll down,
French...
the links will be there.
Yeah,
because
so
I
that's
haven't
my
spelled
Twitter,
it correctly yet, and I've been really struggling spelling it.
That's part of the reason why I chose it. It's so fun to mispronounce.
Yeah, that's cool. And search. I'll go on dmsguild.com and search for D'Artagnan's brilliant work. As we mentioned, $20, £16 UK for the almanac, and pay what you want for the other amazing stuff that he's done. Leave a nice review for D'Artagnan as well, and I'm sure he'll appreciate interaction on Twitter and many other pleasant things as well. So, yes, thank you so much, D'Artagnan, for joining us on Cal's Questions. And Paul, is there anything you'd like to say before we go?
No, join us on Tuesdays and Thursdays at Ampersand Twitch channel, Ampersand D20. Links probably be below because I leave rather large descriptions. But yeah, who knows what we're doing at the moment because we are filming about a month and a half in advance. So I won't give you any spoilers for the stuff I don't know.
Yeah, and you can find me at Seeley D&D on Twitter, and or SeeleyDnd.com for clips of funny things and D&D and TTRPG related stuff. You can catch me as well on Homebrew Havoc every Thursday. And yes, one more thing. Thank you very much, D'Artagnan, and thank you, listeners.